As soon as I have the thought, it starts manifesting, and it's such a beautiful thing, like to be able to not only do it once, but experience that type of blessing from the universe.
Welcome to my humble downtown studio.
I love it.
How did you get to become a Creative Mornings speaker?
They were looking for somebody that was very community oriented in regards to the creative arts, and that's how they found me. I guess just what I was doing resonated with them, and the theme for the month that they had, which was ethos. And they reached out to me on Instagram.
Well, I know you got the McDonald's deal like through Instagram as
Yes, yeah. And okay, so I just did a collab with the NCAA, and they emailed me, but they found me through a referral of an artist I met through Instagram. Yeah. I was like, wow, that's a good friend. Marple, I don't know if you know her. She is a big artist here in Dallas, Marple. And they reached out to her, she just didn't have the availability to do it. Their timeline was a little crazy. It was almost like impossible. I don't think I slept for like 3 days, legit. Like, not even joking, legit. Like, maybe I took a 1 hour nap in 3 days. It was insanity. Like, I suffered, but it was so worth it. The balls turned out beautiful. Like, it was really dope. And yeah, the one I'm doing with Toyota right now, they saw the balls I did for the NCAA on my Instagram. And a friend I went to college with was the one that saw the balls, and he was like, I love what you did with them. Like, I want to work with, we want to work with you and paint some balls for the Gold Cup. Yeah, so a lot of my stuff has been through Instagram. Like, I have my website, because it's good to have a website as a business. Like, that's the first thing people really look at, and then they look at the other stuff.
You started painting when you were 3 years old, and then 2018 you kind of started taking things more seriously with your art.
Yeah, and then in 2020 is when I decided to do it full time. I was really just interested in creating things that I really wanted to do, and that was commissions and that was work on canvas. Like, I was really interested in that. I was very interested in just getting in touch with the intimacy of art and the intimacy of creating, you know, like making my own canvases and really like getting to know the medium and the material, and like painting on linen, painting on different types of like just different types of surfaces as like on the canvas itself, because you know they can have different textures and things like that. Once I was able to do that, I was like, okay, now I want to paint bigger. And I was like, I want bigger canvases, so I started doing murals. And you know, it's so funny because like as soon as you set your mind to it, you literally don't have to do anything. As soon as I have the thought, it starts manifesting, and it's such a beautiful thing, like to be able to not only do it once, but experience that type of blessing from the universe. Every day I say this, like, I am literally blessed to be able to do something that I love, to be able to support myself from something that I love. And sometimes, you know, you can feel a little guilty when you're not like at 100, because like you're like, okay, am I like taking advantage, or am I like not being grateful enough? And honestly, you have to forgive yourself a lot sometimes too, and learning to do that has been a challenge and an opportunity to grow. that's when things really started taking off. I think once I made the decision, like in my head, that's when things really started manifesting for me. Like I had a lot of people tell me like, you should do this full time, you should do this full time, you should do this full time. But it wasn't until the mindset in my head changed that things started happening. Everything that I was had to become art. Everything that I was doing had to do with art. I tried to combine my hobbies and like the things I like to do with my art. So like tonight we're doing this event where I get to dance and I get to like hang out with my friends and I get to work as well. Cause like what I like to do is I'll take whatever commission I'm working on and I'll just work on that, you know? So it's just like being at your studio, but you're surrounded by all this beautiful energy and people are asking you about it. So it really gives you like the opportunity to really talk about what you're doing. And a lot of people are gonna ask you questions that you sometimes have to ask yourself in your studio by yourself, and questions that you wouldn't even think of. So it's really helpful to get out there and like do that shit. 2019, I think I was still doubting how long. I was just like having the thoughts like, man, like it's gonna take forever, or like I don't know if like I'm gonna be able to do it, because at the end of the day my goal was to be full-time, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna work. I was having a lot of problems mentally as well with my inner self. That was my priority at the time, my mental health, and I didn't know how to combine the both of them until I realized that painting was helping me a lot with my mental health. And once I realized that, it was like, okay, so I can really use this as a source of motivation, inspiration. It's a source of self-healing. And I think the universe just really put those things in front of me, and I had the self-awareness to recognize it and be able to do something about it. And I also had the discipline and the commitment to stick with it. And you know, we live in an age where you can literally find any knowledge, any information you need on the internet. So that's what I did. I would listen to a lot of podcasts about creatives and business. And that's how I was able to frame my business in the way that I did. I remember when it came to pricing, I did a lot of research, and at the same time, I was going through a PTSD treatment, and you know, we talk a lot about self-love and self-worth, and you know, I think a lot of artists from the beginning, they compare themselves a lot to other artists, and I found myself doing that for a little bit. And with my therapy, I was able to find self-value and self-love and self-worth to where I was like, I am good enough, and I believe that I am. So I prized myself in what I believed was worth it. With the way my mental health was at that time, I didn't have that self-worth, and I didn't have that like a high self-value, just because of like any traumatic thing that you go through, your self-esteem does suffer, right? And it all came like hand in hand with each other. And I felt like I was having an issue with the pricing, because I felt like once I put a price on it, that would be people's perception of worth of my artwork. And that's something that I believe every product like experiences. You know, the more expensive, the higher the quality you think it's gonna be, and that's not always the case. You know, so then I really started thinking about, okay, like let's switch the perspective and think about why we're doing this, or in what way can we price it to where it's still conscious of my mission you know, which was to get artwork into people's homes without them having to worry whether it was too expensive or, you know, so like that. Because at the end of the day, art is a luxury, and not everybody has the opportunity to have original artwork in their homes. Doesn't matter whether it's big or small, the impact can still be made as long as it's in their homes and it's something that they can look at and it's something that's there and it's theirs.
For the creative podcasts that you listen to, which ones like really stuck out and kind of helped guide you to be where you wanted to go?
I'll have to look them up. One is Creative Business Marketing, Smart Art Business. That's the one I really liked. Smart Art Business. How to Money. That one, whether you're creative or not, is really helpful because it's a lot of tips on how to grow your money and how to use your money wisely. It provides you with a lot of tools that are kind of hard to come by. You know, financial literacy isn't something that's taught everywhere. Or on podcasts is a really good one. It's like 3 to 5 minute little episodes on really important things about gaining self-worth and self-value and things like that. It's a really good one. Amber on podcast. She's a local Dallas girl.
Amber on podcast?
Oh.
Yeah,
Amber. One of them is like how to handle the jerks in your life. Why perfectionism makes you a bad leader. Smart Art Business, How to Money, and Amber on podcast were the top 3 that I was listening to at the time. Freakonomics was just one that I loved because that one was just more like a pleasure one.
Going full time, like from back then to now, how did you like prepare yourself to get into that mindset beyond the podcast and like to be able to take care of yourself doing your art full time and like figuring out your pricing and things like that?
Well, thankfully, it was during COVID, so it was a very good, I think everything just lined up perfectly. It's just something that you have to learn and that I've learned throughout the years. And it's been hard, it hasn't always been easy. I haven't always done murals. Like I went from private collections and doing things for private clients, my main income being murals, right? And as a first year being a muralist, I learned a lot, and I learned that you can't really paint during the winter. So now I had to like find different things and I had to strategize differently for the winter. But now that this next winter's coming up, I can prepare myself from getting experience this winter. Because there were times when I was like, girl, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna like keep going for the next month, you know? And you know, you just keep working, and if you have your hands, you have anything. I remember telling my friend, I was like feeling down because I was like, okay, like my income hasn't been well this winter. And I remember like just sitting down one day and I was like, maybe I should get a part-time job or something. And I was like, I just had this thought. It was so funny. It was almost like I laughed in my head. I was like, girl, like you don't got so much material in this studio and like you don't have hands to come like make something and just do it and sell it. And that's really all it takes, is you're creating your own opportunities. And I was like, I'm tripping. Like I have so much shit I can do. Like, but the easy way was to get a part-time job. That was the easy route. And I was like, I am so capable. I can literally do anything. Like, you're tripping.
How did you get involved with the CU?
With the CU? Okay, so this is kind of funny because I had a studio already lined up with a friend of mine. His name is Victor, and he owns Mi Barrio 214 in like Southeast Dallas.
Isn't that where you had the paint event?
Yeah. So I was gonna move in with him at his studio, cause he had some space in the shop So I was gonna move in there to work, and then my car ended up messing up. And I was like living in Wiley, so I was like, I don't think I can drive all the way over there. So I had to find another space. I set up like a tour and I went, and you know, I loved it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay here. And that's where I started. And then they were like, you should really apply for a cohort for this new one. I was there and I met a lot of the cohorts from cohort 3. And I was scared because I felt very different. My personality was very different, and the CU, it's a really cool place. I just felt like I didn't necessarily fit in with everybody else. I just felt like vibe-wise, I'm completely different from the people that were working there at the time. But when I found out who was in my class for cohort 4, I was like, oh my God, I'm friends with so many of these artists. I'm so pumped, I'm so excited. It's just like everybody was so quiet in cohort 3, but I was just like, I feel like I'm too much energy. I feel like I'm like, my presence is like, they're like
So when is your show? Like
we're thinking fall.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So maybe 3-4 months. It really is just about finding the right space, the right sponsors. I have a lot to say, and I have a lot of things I want to represent. I have a lot of organizations I want to help, and this is a really good way for me to be able to do that. And yeah, I felt ready to create a body of work that could represent me, that could represent my vision and my community. I'm not worried at all. I am letting things fall into place. I have full trust in the universe, and I am completely surrendered to the wisdom of the universe.
Do you have any new mediums that you want to explore soon?
Yes, I really want to explore welding. I'm very interested in welding and sculptures. And I'm very interested in animation. But you know, a lot of my artwork has to do with movement, and you know, and that was more of like myself. Like I love moving when I'm painting, I love dancing. Movement is life at the end of the day. So now I'm like, I really want to animate my artwork, right? There's so much artwork I have where when I imagine it, it's moving, you know? So I was like, I want to learn how to animate it. But I also don't want it to become something that you watch. I want it to become something that you move with. Does that make sense? Because I want people to move. Movement is life to me, so I want to share that with other people. So I don't want it to just be like a movie, you know? Like I don't want to do movies or cartoons or things like that. Like a lot of my friends are DJs, and a lot of the visuals in the backgrounds are cool, but I think we can do more. And I'm like, well, it looks like I'm gonna have to do something about that. I want you to move with it. I want you to follow it. Almost like I went to this place in Miami, Art Tech House, where like the technology creates the art. The art moves with you. It follows your movement. I want you to follow the movement, I guess, that I'm creating, or I don't know, something like that.
So, do you have a dream collaboration?
Yes, girl. Oh my God, for sure. I have a few.
Spill.
I want to work with Crayola, 100%. So bad, so bad. I want to work with Crayola. I think I've had collabs that they weren't even ever part of a dream. Like I didn't even know I had those dreams. But now that I've had them, it's like, whoa, like dream bigger, bitch. I want to work with more product packaging. There's a lot of Mexican brands that I grew up with that I think would be really dope to work with. Bimbo, the International Mexican Week. of soccer. That would be freaking sick. But Crayola is coming. I can feel it. I'm manifesting as we speak. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're gonna do something.